It's you and me, baby. Week 16, finals, championship game. We made it. I spent a lot of time making this list comprehensive, ranking it. It was very difficult, especially at the kicker position, which a lot of people tune in just to see the kicker rankings and streaming options. So it was very difficult, but I did it. A lot of names, some quality, definitely a lot of quantity. Nonetheless, Couch Fam, welcome to another video, maybe the most important video of the year. These are my fantasy football week 16 waiver wire pickups. Starting off with the quarterback position. These top options, Jalen Hurts going against the Cowboys. I don't think anybody's fully sold on him being elite or anything like that, but I think we're all sold on him as a guy who can put up a ton of fantasy points. And it's been quite evident here, especially with those rushing stats that he gets. We all love that in fantasy. And now he's going up against the Cowboys, which is a horrible team, horrible defense. And the Cowboys still got a shot to win this game. But as far as fantasy, guys like Miles Sanders or any random Eagles tight end or, of course, Jalen Hurts could put up a lot of points in this game. I think Jalen Hurts' floor is 16 to 19 fantasy points, around there. Keep in mind, that's his floor, which is amazing because the quarterback usually puts up like 17 fantasy points. And so his ceiling is really up there. We saw last game, he could put up something like last game, maybe get you 30 fantasy points or something. And it's not that crazy to start him this week. I know I'll be getting a lot of weird start him, sit him questions that we didn't think we'd be getting, especially after what we just saw this past week and what we've seen with some quarterbacks and teams completely falling off. Then we got Matt Ryan here. Now, he's rostered in 80% of leagues, but just the past 2 weeks, we've seen this again with Matt Ryan. He was dropped like week 5 or something like that. And so he's being dropped again, only rostered in 80% of leagues, which is a bit weird. You'd think he's good enough to be a really good backup quarterback for your team. Like, even if you don't like having a backup quarterback, the bye weeks are over now. Like, I don't know. I just saw that I put Matty Ryan. I guess I could change it. Let's be realistic here. Let's be more professional. So yeah, Matt Ryan going against the Chiefs. Love Matt Ryan because he's gonna have to throw. We saw Drew Brees come in without a lot of receivers. Mike Thomas was missing. He started off pretty rusty and still put up 3 touchdowns. Still did well. See, Matt Ryan should be able to do the same thing. Put up some good passing yards. It's the touchdowns that don't come often for the Falcons. And so, yeah, 300 pass yards, a touchdown. That's what I expect. The bonus will be the extra touchdowns if the Falcons can get in the end zone through the air, and that's been their problem for several years. Like Julio Jones doesn't get a lot of receiving touchdowns, for example. Anyway, we have Drew Brees going against the Vikings, and I'll just read these off because likely you're not going to be making too many roster moves this week. If you have a guy like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you're going to have to maybe even Eric Ebron, so on and so forth. And I know a lot of you are in deep leagues and Superflex leagues, so I'll just read these in order. So number 1, Jalen Hurts. Number 2, Matt Ryan. Number 3, Drew Brees. Number 4, Mitch Trubisky. Then we go with Stafford. Baker Mayfield going against the Jets. Tua going against the Raiders. He'll hopefully get some weapons back in that pass game. CJ Beathard. He's the starter for the 49ers. Matter of fact, it's just been named. So Jimmy Garoppolo unlikely to return this year. And Nick Mullins out for this season, I believe, with an injury that requires elbow surgery. Crazy stuff for the Niners, man. Sam Darnold going against the Browns. Marcus Mariota probably is going to play and start, and Derek Carr's probably out. But I don't know. This season's been so crazy. Derek Carr, I guess, has a chance to play. Limited practice participation today with a groin injury. And then we have Ryan Finley. He's a starter for the Bengals, and they're going against the Texans. For running backs, I had to put Tony Pollard on here technically. If you're in a competitive league, he's already added, but I guess there's a chance, you're in a 10-team league and he's still available. And if Zeke doesn't play, and Tony Pollard is an amazing running back, thankfully we stashed him in the Throne League and he came through clutch for us in the semifinals. And for the Niners, this is why I'm recording this video so late. I just want to do a lot of research and try to get this as accurate as possible. So here's the scenario with the Niners. As most of you already know, Jerick McKinnon, he's tired and just beat up from this year. So he's not really too relevant as far as running backs go. And then we have Tevin Coleman, who has just been whack the past 2 years. He's not good. So Jeff Wilson does have an ankle injury. Seems to be a non-factor. So I'm saying 99% chance that's a non-factor. He came back in the game. Raheem Mostert, though, seems like he will be out for the year. So in my redraft leagues, I only have these guys. I only have Mostert in one league, I think. So I'm probably going to be dropping Mostert, and I'm probably going to be dropping Clyde Edwards-Helaire from my 2 redraft leagues. Jeff Wilson is looking like a must-add regardless of all these situations. So yeah, the short version, go add Jeff Wilson, but I gave you the long version here. Really got to keep up on your Niner news because there's so much going on. And old news again, Deebo Samuel likely out for the year as well. We're going to get more into the Niners. Very relevant this week 16 Niner news. Le'Veon Bell, starting running back for the Chiefs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to miss the rest of the regular season. Might even miss a playoff game. We'll see, even though they have the bye, or they're slated to have the bye week. Darrell Henderson should be the starting running back for the Rams. Cam Akers is out week 16. Huge news right there. Now, Salvon Ahmed, I could rank this guy as high as number 1 or number 4, like anywhere there. But there is a chance that Myles Gaskin comes back. A really good chance, actually. I would say he probably does come back. There's also a really good chance that he was affected and has shown positive symptoms. He tested positive, and he might not be 100%. He may have lost weight, might not just be feeling good. It's different for everybody. We seen with a guy like Lamar Jackson, who I would say looked better when he came back from that special reserve list. Then we see other players that do not and are winded and can't finish the game and this and that. And that's my guess of what could happen with Myles Gaskin. Now, I don't want to say anything's for sure, for certain. I want to make sure I'm saying, I'm guessing from the outside with very limited knowledge. But a lot of people would want to know my opinion on these type of things. Well, I try to do my absolute best to help you out. And I think that might be the case with Gaskin. So even if Gaskin is back, Salvon Ahmed could definitely be a flex play, or maybe a RB2 in a deep league. Dolphins going against the Patriots, by the way. Gio Bernard was good when we all benched. I mean, he was dropped in all my leagues, actually. Except my deep leagues. Everyone dropped him in the 12-team league. Crazy. And then he balls out against the Steelers. No one expected that. And he's back here again against the Texans. The Texans defense is worse than the Steelers D, at least you'd think. So he should severely disappoint us. I don't know what's going on anymore this year. This is absolutely berserk. Malcolm Brown, RB2 for the Rams, going against the Seahawks. And then we got Ito Smith. He's named the starter. Sounds like another situation that's going to disappoint you. Now we're in super deep league territory where almost all of you will not be messing with this week 16. I'll read the rest off. Number 9, Sony Michel. We got James White in PPR leagues. Darrell Williams, the RB2 for the Chiefs. And then we got Ty Johnson, ranked ahead of Frank Gore because Ty Johnson catches a couple passes and we all play PPR. If Connor is out, Benny Snell, another spot start. And then there's a small chance that James Robinson is going to be out or limited. And according to the depth charts, Dare Ogu is the backup running back. So he would be my favorite Jags running back. And after him would come Divine Ozigbo. They're both Jags running backs. DO is their initials. Wide receiver, if Julio is out, I like Russell Gage. And you know what? Russell Gage has a couple games with Julio and Ridley in the lineup where he was okay. So he's been really good this year, actually. He has. You can say he's been inconsistent, but as far as a wide receiver 3 that was on no one's radar, and Matt Ryan and the Falcons being so inconsistent, Russell Gage actually has been pretty good. Emmanuel Sanders, number 1 wide receiver for the Saints going against the Vikings. Nelson Aguilar, number 1 wide receiver for the Raiders. That sounds weird just saying that. Then we got Rashard Higgins, Darnell Mooney, Jacoby Myers, Chad Henson, Kendrick Bourne. Oh man, I almost started Kendrick Bourne last week in an emergency start, and I went with Traquan Smith instead. And in hindsight, sure that was dumb, but I still got the win, thankfully. Then we got Laviska, John Brown, who has a really good chance to return this week, but not sure. He had a chance to return last week, but he did not. Denzel Mims should get a good amount of targets against the Browns. Mecole Hardman, Greg Ward if Jalen Reagor is injured, Lynn Bowden, and Cam Sims. And Lynn Bowden, of course, has dual position eligibility in most leagues. George Kittle, ladies and gentlemen, has a realistic shot to come back. Now, I could put Noah Fant number 1, but when you got a chance to have Kittle, that's hard to resist. And I know he wants to come back. And I believe the Niners will play him if he's healthy. So it's just an unlikely situation. You probably already stashed this guy. A lot of us have IR spots. A lot of us have bench spots. But if he's available, I would seriously consider picking him up. Why not? You don't need bench spots. There is no tomorrow. It's just to sum it up, there is no week 17. So there's no need to I might need. You don't need anything. All you need to do is win this week, and that's it. There's only one focus to win this week. There's only one opponent you're looking at. You're not looking at the rest of the playoff brackets. You're not looking at the loser brackets. You're not looking at next year if you're in a redraft league. You're just looking at your one opponent's team and what you need to do. If you need to add 6 defenses because your opponent doesn't have a defense, do that. If you need to add Jalen Hurts because your opponent doesn't have a quarterback, then do that. And you need to add George Kittle and Noah Fant, then do that. You got to do what you got to do. And if you or your opponent would consider starting Kittle and you think there's a good chance that would make either team better, then you need to add him. Noah Fant, I think, is going to be one of my favorite tight ends to draft next year because of his inconsistency and his bust performance this year. People's feelings will get hurt, and hopefully his stock will drop. Guys like Hawkinson will be drafted early. Mark Andrews will be drafted early. Waller will be drafted early, and Kelsey will be drafted early. And I think we'll be able to get Noah Fant at a cheap price. I think he's good tight end. He's athletic. The injury and inconsistency with Locke definitely hurt Fant. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe with Cortland Sutton back, it's not gonna be enough targets to go around. But I just like the price. I think with the talent, the athleticism, the upside, and if we're able to get him at a good value in the draft next year, I think I'm gonna go for Noah Fant. I'm really intrigued by his 2021 ADP and where I can get him at a good. So I'm always looking for that next best tight end to come up. Unfortunately, this year there really wasn't any. There really wasn't any standout tight end that blew up. There was no Waller or anything. I mean, the closest thing we got was Hawkinson, who couldn't even get one fantasy point last week. So that type of letdown, he probably caused a lot of people to lose their leagues. Really doesn't make him a Darren Waller, in my opinion, or even Austin Hooper last year, or Mark Andrews last year. Then we got Zach Ertz, who, if Hurts to Ertz combo, it could work out. Dan Arnold, it's like every Cardinals play I see is like, or the camera on the game, the cameraman, he's always looking at Dan Arnold. He seems to be involved in a lot of plays. He's really come up as essentially a wide receiver playing tight end, and he's being more and more involved in the offense. I love this guy as a tight end 2 in Dynasty. And then we got in deeper leagues, Jordan Akins, who actually did not bad when I dropped him. Dalton Schultz, Tyler Higbee, Irv Smith, if Kyle Rudolph is out. Kyle Rudolph, I don't believe practiced today. I think he did not practice Tuesday, if I remember correctly. Dawson Knox, I got a good feeling about this guy. Not necessarily this week what he's going to do. It's tough to predict tight ends week to week. I think his future is bright. And it just goes to show you, man, dynasty tight ends, don't ever draft a rookie tight end. Because you got a guy like Knox who's kind of cool, and then everyone dropped him in dynasty. Like, what am I doing with this guy? He's not even a tight end 3. And he might start emerging. And so that's why it's always good to let other people draft a tight end in dynasty that you just trade for. Mike Gesicki, for example, huge bust first couple years. Now he's relevant. Now he's a tight end 1. And so, yeah, it's just that trend is probably the strongest trend in football, in fantasy. Rookie tight ends don't do anything. That's the strongest. And if they do, I mean, something's up. Like we got to look into this guy. You know, who is this guy? Jordan Reed, if George Kittle is out, I really do like Reed. But if Kittle plays, Reed has no value. And then we have Tyler Eifert. That's my 12th tight end. For defenses, very tough to rank, but I tried my best for you guys. We have the Browns D going against the Jets. If Denzel Ward is in, I like it. You got Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett in there. If they're both playing, I like the Browns D. The Dolphins D going against Vegas. Look, they're either going to face Mariota or a less than 100% Derek Carr. I like the Dolphins D a lot. Bears D going against the Jags. Jags suck. Colts D going against the Steelers, a team that's just free falling. They've been on such a decline. They've had a meltdown, and they're losing against some bad teams. And that was one of the biggest upsets, followed by one of the biggest upsets. The Rams lost, then the next day, the Steelers lost against the Bengals, and man, there should be a lot of opportunity for the Colts to get a lot of points. Look, even if the Steelers were at full strength, you can count on the Colts to get you 3 or 4 fantasy points. Like full strength as in like they're playing well and on fire and everyone was clicking. They'll still get you 3-4 fantasy points. But if the Steelers continue this trend of playing very poopy, then man, this is, I mean, we can talk about getting 8 points, 12 points. Colts D just so reliable, one of the most reliable defenses in fantasy that you can start regardless of the matchup. Then we have the Bills D going against the Patriots, another team that just like really not even a real team this year with all the opt-outs and the QB change, and Cam Newton hasn't thrown a touchdown in the last 2 centuries. And then we got the Saints D going against the Vikings, Eagles D going against the Cowboys. You know what? I think the Eagles D has more opportunity here. Let's put them ahead of the Saints. Yeah, even though I love the Saints D's, like they're safe, you know, it's like you feel safe with them, right? It's a comfort zone. The Saints D, I'm gonna play it safe this week, which is cool. Like I might start the Saints D in one league, but yeah, I think the Eagles D's got more upside. I think they're similar to the Colts, as in like they always find a way to give you fantasy points, whether they win, lose, or draw. They actually have a tie. And then we have the Bucks going against the Lions. Boost the Bucks D a little bit if Golladay is out again. Texans D going against the Bengals. Chiefs D going against the Falcons, which is a solid defense. Cardinals D going against the Niners. Washington going against the Panthers. Panthers going against Washington. Should be a low-scoring game. Then we got the Chargers D and the Bengals D in some kind of league that I don't want to know about. Some 32-team league. Let me take a sip before the kickers. All right, here we go, guys. This has been the most difficult thing to rank all year for waivers. These rankings were so hard because there was no gimme game with the way I look at kickers to find those hidden gems. There was no clear path, like the Ravens. I think Ravens kicker, yeah, it's good, but Tucker he's rostered on every team, so he's not a waiver at. Harrison Butker, pretty good, like he's gonna do great. He's on every team, so I can't put him on here. All the clear paths to fantasy points that I can predict at a successful rate, we're not here. So I had to think out the box and go look at other kickers. A guy like Cairo Santos, who I don't even know if I ever talked about this year. I mean, I probably did, but very rarely, and he was ranked on the second page, not even top 11. This week, he's my number 1 kicker. The Bears are a very inconsistent team, but the Jags are so consistently bad that the Bears, unless they have a meltdown in all 3 phases of the game, should have a good lead this game. Should be able to somehow score, whether it be Montgomery, whether it be with Trubisky, whether it be with the defense, or whether it be with special teams. Bears should have a lead. They should be able to move the ball. They should be able to get stops, make plays, force some mistakes for the Jags offense. The defense should be able to do that, get a turnover, and they should be able to get within field goal range quite often. And in the second half, they should be able to settle for field goals. Key to success this game, don't make mistakes, don't turn the ball over. If they're able to do that, if Trubisky's able to do that, Cairo Santos could have another good game. He's been very accurate. He's been hot as of late. And when I say hot, I don't mean just I don't look at kickers that just put up fantasy points. That's lazy research, you know. And almost no one I talk to really knows what to look for in kickers. They don't bother to. So it's not just that he's put up fantasy points the last couple of games, but that when I say he's hot, he's been accurate. He's been nailing all the kicks. And he's been pretty accurate this whole year. Why hasn't he been on this list before? Well, he's on the Bears, right? And this guy's career hasn't been that great as of late, but he used to be a pretty good kicker. He was a fixture as far as fantasy kickers went. I don't know. He switched teams. He was out the league. I don't know what happened. But he really wasn't relevant last few years. But going against the Jags, man, I love him. And when I give you this list, this is who I would start myself. I always go by this. So yeah, he's my number 1 kicker. I like Tyler Bass a lot. Now he's more trustworthy. I'm more familiar with him. He's definitely on a better team. So if you want to go with Bass, that's fine. I just think that this matchup with the Patriots is not the best for the Bills offense. Could be a low-scoring game. Could be a little bit messy. There's some room for that. If it was if it was a home game against a really terrible team, then I would love Tyler Bass, okay? But it's not. It's an away game against the Patriots. They have some good corners still, even though Gilmore is out. So I got Tyler Bass at 2. Jason Sanders. I already envisioned this video. He was going to be my number 1 kicker this week. But as far Cairo Santos is hot, Jason Sanders is not. Also, a lot of question marks at every single receiving position for the Dolphins. So I don't know what's going to happen. There's so many question marks with this game. With all that being said, I still like Jason Sanders. He's still not inaccurate. He's missed a couple kicks recently. My trust has gone down with him because he used to be the most accurate kicker. No longer is because of the last 2 weeks. Still, he's going against the Raiders. I love him. So those are my top 3 right there. And then Ryan Suckup. I mean, man, you could let's put these top 4 here. Because you're kicking in a dome, Ryan Suckup. You're going to have a lead. This could be a little bit more of a fast-paced game. So I do like Ryan Suckup a lot. I don't trust him too much. The trust isn't quite there as a guy like Tyler Bass. Will Lutz, I put him at number 5. He's a guy that I could have put at number 1 or number 10. Now, he's been ice cold as of late. The Saints are a weird team. They can always go for it with Taysom Hill. or I mean, go for 2, or yeah, or go for it, yeah, as well. So I'm just not too sure what the Saints are going to be doing and if Will Lutz is going to be accurate. So not a lot of trust there. And then I'll read off the rest for you guys. Number 6, we have Kaimi Fairbairn, Texans kicker. Mason Crosby, Steven Gostkowski in that same game. Daniel Carlson, who I do trust is accurate, but not a good matchup against the Finns. Rodrigo Blankenship going against the Steelers. Greg Zuerlein, very inconsistent. Lots of upside, just not a good floor. And then we got Dustin Hopkins and Cody Parkey of the Browns going against the Jets. All right, guys, there you have it. Make sure you subscribe to both YouTube channels, Fantasy Couch and Fantasy Couch Podcast. Link to merch, link to the Patreon in the description. Lots of cool perks, secret videos, direct access to me. Coach, I got a lot of stuff planned out for Patreon, so thank you so much for your support. Smash that like button, go get a W, and let's win a championship, baby.